What's going on, Longbox family? Here we are. We're at the end of the year, technically. Uh, Here we are. We're at the end of the year, into 2021. You'll hear this. And we're all giving our year end reviews for how 2020 was. We all know 2020 was a hard year for a lot of people. Um, we were fortunate enough to weather a lot of that storm, me and my family. But we hope everybody out there going into 21, hopefully before 2021, is doing okay. And I wanna lead with that. Everybody here at the Longbox crew, we're doing this a little different than normal. I know Gabe's off, but we throughout the year we kind of jump between doing live and not live, and in person and not in person gatherings is what I was trying to say. Because we wanted to be safe. We have some people on the team that we want to try and take care of. And so hopefully 2021 brings a little bit more normality, and hopefully we're able to celebrate our accomplishments together a little bit more next year. But hopefully you guys are having a good 2021. I know it's only most of a day at this point, but hopefully 2021 is better for everybody out there. And I wanted to jump right into what we're doing. I wanted to jump into our end of the year review. We are doing favorite trailer, favorite TV show, favorite movie, favorite pop culture classic that we did this year, and favorite interview that we did this year. I'm going to start off with comic because I haven't read a comic this whole freaking year. And that's actually something that I plan on changing this year. I still buy Hall of Justice. Hopefully, John over there is doing well. I know he's had some things going on here at the end of the year. So, John, hopefully you're doing better. Hopefully the store's doing well. I got nothing but good things to say about an old friend. But I do my best to. We don't hardly ever go up to Denver anymore, especially with everything going on right now. But I still get my pull from there. I still buy comics. I still collect. I just have not read. I think I read maybe 2 comic books this whole year, and so I'm not even gonna try with a comic book this year because it's not. It wouldn't be. It would be completely biased because I've read probably a Justice League book at this point. I'm not gonna worry about the comic book. I'm gonna jump right into trailers. It was pretty close for me this year for trailers. I think that the Batman is probably my favorite one of the year. I like that it seems more comic booky, but not. I don't want that to sound like because when you talk about Marvel, you talk about comic booky, you talk about like over the top kind of stuff. But I think when you're talking about Batman, um, being more comic booky, I just mean that it seems like it's closer to a Batman comic book. You see Batman in costume talking with police. He's at a crime scene. It seems more like a detective story, like the books are. It seems more like a less like a superhero. I'm Batman, kind of. I gotta stay away from the police because they hate me, kind of thing. Where it seems like he's actively, almost like a police officer. Obviously, we know he's not. It looks like that there's going to be a couple of villains. I haven't done a ton of Batman research, so I could be wrong. But I know the Penguin was in there. I know that it sounds like the Joker is going to be the main villain. But there's a couple of villains going on in there. So Batman is probably it was really cool one because, like I said, it looks like it leans into what Batman comic books are, but it also is very gritter. It's also very gritty. Robert Pattinson, who has done a lot more than just the Twilight series. One that comes to mind recently is Lighthouse. He's able to spread a little bit of his wings in that movie, and it's just not that's not vampire-y, and I think that's what people are afraid of. But I think he's going to be a great Batman. Watching him kick the crap out of that guy at the end of the trailer is cool. There's not. I think it's still going to be a rock'em sock'em. Batman's going to kick some ass, but it's going to be a little bit closer to what I think a lot of people think the comic books are. My second place, yeah, and I might not do this for all of them, but it was Dune. I don't know much about Dune, the story itself. The trailer looks cool. It looks like a huge world. The cast is stacked. I'm looking at Zendaya, Jason Momoa, Oscar Isaac, David Bautista, Stellan Skarsgård, Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin. I mean, the cast is huge, and I think that's my excitement more for the trailer, because it was the first trailer. I know the cast is going to be amazing. It sounds like this movie is going to be really cool. So Dune came in second for me. I'm pretty excited to watch that movie as well. Movies is hard. They're. I mean, we spoke about a lot of movies. We spoke about The Vast of Night. We spoke about Bill and Ted, which I really, really liked. We spoke about a lot of things. Bill and Ted is actually, I wrote down here, is actually my runner up here. For me specifically, Bad Boys for Life is probably, and that came out in early 2020. It's probably my favorite movie of 2020. I know Color Out of Space ended up being really good. It's just it was fucking crazy, and so was The Vast of Night was amazing. The acting in that was really cool. It was an alien movie without having any aliens in it. But for some reason, Bad Boys for Life, I think it had been 20 years since they made a movie, 25 years, something like that, since they made the last one. And this one was just, I think it was just as good as the first one. A lot of people will like the first one better because it was the first one. It's just how things are. But I really, really enjoyed Bad Boys for Life. I don't think that there is a lot of better comedy duos out there that aren't just over the top. Like Will Ferrell does a lot of over the toppy kind of stuff, and you don't see him play the straight man a lot. You don't see him actually act a ton, in my opinion. I feel like he's just a goof, and that's just who he is. And I feel like Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are an awesome comedy team who also, I think, are able to act. They're able to actually play a serious part. So I enjoyed it. I'm looking at the Rotten Tomatoes right now. I know that doesn't mean a ton, but there's almost 43,000 ratings as far as the viewer side, and it's at a 96%. So I know that a lot of people out there who actually watched the movie that weren't on the critic side really enjoyed the movie as well. So it was a cool back to form movie. You know, it's about Will Smith's mom in the movie, his movie mom. But I just don't. I think a lot of the comedy they took from the second one and a lot of the action they took from the first one, because I think the action in the second one was very over the top. And I think they put together a cohesive third movie, which doesn't happen very often. What's next? TV show. Again, we talked about a tremendous amount of TV shows. I don't know if this was the year for TV shows because there's not a lot of movies coming out. Because I usually watch way more movies, I think, than I do TV shows. But I mean, just to name a few that I liked that weren't my favorites. Star Trek Discovery just recently came out. It's still ongoing, but I love Star Trek Discovery. It's a really good series so far. What We Do in the Shadows, that was I was on the fence. I think the more and more you go back to it, it's hilarious. It's vampires acting crazy. They're funny. It's, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It's What We Do in the Shadows is definitely worth a watch if you're looking for a nothing to do comedy show. The Outsider, even though I think it just got canceled, I think that was a Stephen King property that they did well. People, producers, executives have a hard time really capturing that Stephen King book into movies and TV shows, and I think The Outsider did it really well. I think it was a good series. It sucks. I think that The Outsider was canceled. if I'm remembering right, and that sucks because I thought that was a good show. Devs, and I think all of us have mentioned Devs at this point. Devs was it to me, because I don't think I've heard anybody talk about it except for the group of people who I talk about for the show and for this kind of thing. I've not heard anybody talk about Devs, and so I'm not sure if it was something that just kind of flew under the radar or what. I know that the lead actor, whose name I don't remember now, I didn't write it down for some reason. He does mostly comedy. He does mostly shticky other stuff, and I thought that's what this was at first. I think when we spoke about it in the episode, that's kind of what I came into it saying. I thought it was going to be a comedy. It ended up being a freaking show about possible time travel or being able to future tell. It was crazy, and it captured my interest from the first episode, which is really good. I think the first episode, somebody's burning to death, and I mean it's just it came out of complete left field, and it was about maybe time travel. It was about maybe being able to predict the future, and those are things that I really really enjoy in series. It's a genre that I really love, and so I love the hell out of Devs. The Another late one was Mr. Iglesias with comedian Gabriel Iglesias. That, I think it's in its third season now, and that is another really funny show that is able to talk about some things that are serious. I know it talks about education, and it talks about some of the slower kids that he's having to help and teach that have gotten forgotten by the system. It talks about protesting. I mean, there's a ton of substance to this. I think it's a 30-minute comedy. I definitely recommend that. I really, really like Gabriel Iglesias, so that's something that I definitely recommend you guys go check out. But my favorite one, and it's probably a cop-out because it just happened, is The Mandalorian. I mean, that's a show that my wife Alicia doesn't normally sit down and watch things for the show that we do, because she's not interested in a lot of the stuff that we watch. She doesn't like horrors. She's not a big time travel lady. She doesn't like a lot of the stuff, and I feel like The Mandalorian is something that the family can sit down and watch, even though it's fighting and there's some things going on. Who doesn't like Grogu? Who doesn't like a Yoda-like figure puppet? Pedro Pascal does an awesome. His performance in there as the Mandalorian is great. I mean, the whole series has kind of pinnacled at this point. It's on an upward trend. I don't think that that we're going down yet. Introducing more especially Mandalorian race, the Mandalorian race that doesn't wear helmets. Bill Burr is doing an amazing job in the show. Gina Carano, say what you will about her personal life, but she does well. The women that are in this show, and I think that Doyle brought this up. The women that are in this show are not. You're not ham-fisted with the idea that they're badasses because they're women. They're just badasses. They just are able to bring an empowering presence to their characters, whether it's Bo-Katan or Ahsoka or like I said, Gina Carano's character. They bring the presence, and they that whether they're badasses in the air or fighting or whatever, they're badasses. But yeah, The Mandalorian, favorite TV show of the year. These are a little easier. Our favorite pop culture, my favorite pop culture classic that we did this year that we spoke about. There's a ton. I think Doyle said it as well. That a lot of what's on that list are things that I've watched 10, 15 times. There are some on there that I watched for the first time or for the second time that I was like, they're all right. A lot of the older black and white stuff, but the Day There Stood Still was really good. But a lot of this list is there because whether it's me or Tim or Doyle, somebody on the team really loves it, or they remember really loving it, and that's why it's there. That's why we spoke about it, and it's a list of things we all love, so it's hard to choose. My two, Life is one that we spoke about that I again, and they're on opposite spectrums. This is my runner up. If you haven't seen Life, I'm not talking about the. I think there's a space travel movie. I'm talking about the Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence movie. The Eddie Murphy, yeah, Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence movie. Um, and it's about two dudes that get set up for murder and they go to jail, and it's about them trying to kind of get out. But it's another, Will Smith, Martin Lawrence were another comedy duo, and I think that Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence as well, likewise, are really really good together. They've got great chemistry, and Life is proof. It's proof of that. It's for me, it's hilarious the whole way through. There's very little moments where I am down and I'm like, okay, let's move on. It's dominated by a lot more moments are that make me laugh the whole time. But my favorite pop culture classic that we spoke about this year, for sure, was Nightmare on Elm Street. I am, and my wife doesn't like it, but I am a huge horror fan. I love anything horror for the most part, whether it's zombies or whether it's slasher movies, serial killers, mysteries. I like the horror genre because it takes you out. You in your everyday life, no, not many people are waiting around the corner to scare you. You don't get that same kind of adrenaline feeling that you get from a horror movie, and I really like that about the genre. And so, Nightmare on Elm Street for sure is my favorite. My favorite interview this year, and I think everybody's going to say this, probably all of us at least, is probably the Tommy Chong interview. It's hard because we've interviewed a lot of people this year. Jim Beaver, we interviewed him for the second time, and that was amazing. That was a really good 30-minute Jim Beaver interview. The late interview, the David Ajala interview, was really really good. He seemed like a really good human being, and you could hear that in the interview. But Tommy Chong, man, it's hard to beat that. It's hard to beat that because he's been doing this stuff for decades. He's been making people laugh forever. And he's just a regular everyday guy. He didn't look like he put a front on. The crazy thing about that, a lot of people don't. I don't know if a lot of people know or they don't realize. But I do all and this is, Gabe or somebody's gonna give me shit because it's not meant to slam anybody, but I do all the behind the scenes stuff. Generally, if you see a post on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, it's probably from me. All the episodes are edited, because I don't edit. We don't edit a ton. A lot of what's in there stays in there. But all the episodes are edited and put together by me. All the interviews are edited and put together by me. Those do get edited a lot. And for the most part, I know that Gabe was trying to do his own a series for an interview that he was trying to get. I don't know what's going on with that anymore. But for the most part, I'm out there trying to arrange a lot of these interviews as well. So, in between work and family, and everything going on in my life, I do my best to reach out to the people that are a part of whatever we're talking about. We got a bunch of stuff I think we got 4 interviews. 2 still have to come out for Supernatural. We got a bunch of interviews when we were talking about the Vast of Night. We get approached by some people to do interviews, which I still find it kind of fascinating, but I think Gabe does a really great job. I don't know that. I definitely know I couldn't do it. I'm not the interview guy. I'm not that guy. Could I step into the role? Who fucking knows? I'm not that guy. I know I'm better behind the scenes in that capacity, trying to figure all the other stuff out. I know that Gabe does a tremendous job when it comes to conducting these interviews. He has spent a ton of time, I'm sure, doing research, and making sure that these people don't get asked the same questions that they always get asked. Because obviously we're not the first people to interview a lot of these people. We're never that person. That's usually a big time interviewer who's interviewing a lot of these people. But I always hear, and I know Gabe hears it too, that his interviews are unique in that they're not like all of the other interviews that we've done or that they've done. He doesn't ask a lot of the same questions. He's not. It's not something that you're going to turn to YouTube. You're going to turn to 9 News or something and hear the same generic questions. I think Gabe excels at that. And so I'm going down this rabbit hole. What I was leading to it is because I do all of the interviewing, all of the editing, and I do all of the kind of getting of the interviews. I get to see a lot of these people. I get to hear them. I get to interact with them in a way that even Gabe doesn't get to do sometimes. So I the Tommy Chong one was cool because in some of the stuff I edited out, it was if you've listened to the interview, it's a crazy interview. It's so far away from what I thought it was going to be in a great way. That he's that guy though. The stuff that I edited out pre and post, because they're always talking before and afterward, and there's always stuff that I have to edit out. But seems like a gentleman's gentleman. He seems like a really cool dude. I chose that one because of that, but because like I said earlier, it's Tommy Chong. He's an icon. I could have easily chosen the David Ajala one because I really really liked that one as well. Because he was the same way. Hannah pops in and out sometimes on the interviews, and for the most part, I've not seen it, but for the most part, nobody gets annoyed, And David Ajala went out of his way to compliment the hat she was wearing. He went out of his way to ask her some questions, even though he didn't have to. We're borrowing his time, and not the other way around. And so, I could easily see somebody being like, "Come on, really?" But everybody so far has been awesome. They're regular people who make a lot more money than us. And the fact that he went out of his way to make sure that Gabe's daughter felt a little included in that interview, I thought was really cool of David. Anders Heinrichsen, that interview was amazing. And we did 22 interviews this year. The Ed Begley Jr. interview was awesome. That guy's been in freaking everything. I think I had somebody reach out and was like, "How the frick did you get him?" And I'm stupid and I don't know some of these things, but he's been in everything. Frank Ogle was on for his second and third time this year. We talked to, like I said, Jake Horowitz, Bruce Davis from Bast of Night. We spoke to Liza. I'm gonna butcher her last name, even though it looks like Oliveira, but I think that's wrong. We spoke to her and Halea Jones. We spoke to Liza and Halea Jones from Lock and Key. We spoke to Derek Wilson, also from, and Ed Begley Jr. We spoke to them for Future Man. Anders Heinrichsen was from Blood Machines. We spoke to so many cool people this year. It was a really good year for interviews. And I'm rambling at this point, but I'm proud of what we've done. And I usually say this at the end of this year-end reviews. I'm really proud of the team. I'm proud of what we've accomplished. I think we could, had we been able to go to, the Comic-Cons and stuff like we usually do, I think we could have accomplished even more. But hopefully that's to come next year. We'll see. I don't know. I honestly don't even see it happening. Not 100,000 people jammed into a place this early. But we'll see. We'll continue. I'll keep pushing it. But that was kind of my roundup and my favorites for everything that we did this year. Hopefully 2021 brings more awesome memories. It brings more cool interviews, more very cool episodes for you guys. And just like always, if you think something we have an audience that I think is pretty loyal. Um, I think that what we want is for you to know that we want to talk about the shit and do the stuff that you want us to talk about as well. So if something isn't right, if something sounds like crap, if you don't like a topic or whatever, let us know. If you would want to try to hear from somebody, if you want to try to have us talk about a certain topic, let us know. I mean, we talk to each other probably almost every single day, and we're always trying to think of new ideas. Yeah, we have some merch, but what my goal is this year, aside from reaching out to more people and getting cooler interviews and doing some other stuff, is to have you guys interact a little bit more. Hopefully we can put out the content that makes you want to interact with us. And so that's kind of my big thing. I want to read 4 or 5 comic books every a week and a half or something like that. So I have a couple of goals going into 2021 for the podcast. Unfortunately, one of them didn't happen this last 2020 that I'm carrying over into 2021. I don't want to put it out there because I don't want to ruin it. But hopefully you guys had a great year with us, because I know we had a great year with you. You're listening to this on YouTube, which now has our name on it. It didn't have that earlier this year, so thank you for that. You can always reach out, give us feedback at 970-573-6148. I'm not going to rattle off the rest. TOTLB.com is where you'll find us. Go to our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all that stuff to drop us some more feedback and to interact with some of the posts, or to send us things that you think are funny or newsworthy. You can always reach out. We love you guys. Hopefully you guys will have a better 2021 than you did 2020. Not to say your 2020 sucked or didn't. If your 2020 was awesome, hopefully 2021 is better for you. But like I said, you guys be safe, be healthy, and we'll see you more into 2021. Thanks, everybody.